Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Overwatch League 2019 season. We are in the final week, already had one match out of the way. Dallas Fuel punching their ticket for the second time ever. But now, we have another team who's vying to get back into the stage playoffs. Saw them in stage one, but it's been pretty middling success at the moment for the Philadelphia Fusion, and they have a very tough opponent in the San Francisco Shock.
Yeah, they are just on the edge of potential playoffs here, and every single map matters. And you take a look at the standings, you can see also that the Shock are vying for a perfect stage. They are 5-0, looking for that 6-0. 2 series left. They could potentially get plus 28 for stage 2 standings. The first team ever in the history of Overwatch League to hit a stage where they dropped 0 maps.
They really are on that track, unless Fusion can upset them here today. I mean, starting off, winning a control map for Fusion and shutting down that streak might be a major momentum shift for the Fusion to be able to take hold of the series, because they need to get as many maps as possible. They need to get those wins on the board if they want to advance and take one of those final 2 spots in the playoffs.
Certainly true. And for the Shock, you know, this is going to be their toughest opponent this stage. So we'll see if they can stick the landing here against the Fusion. All it takes is 1 map, and they just can't get that perfect record. Everyone knows they're the favorites here. Everyone knows they're the favorites to go 7-0 in this stage with the strength of schedule that they have. But I think the only way you can really make a statement is to get that plus 28.
I mean, for sure. But it hasn't always been this way for the Shock. You know, you think back to Season 1. I mean, Stage 1 of this year was the first time that we actually saw them in the stage playoffs. So comparing this year, 2019, to the inaugural season, it's been a major turnaround for the San Francisco Shock.
Yeah, let's take a look at you know, how that transformation has been for this squad.
Being able to break these Orisa holds has been the bane of their life. They just look lost.
San Francisco struggling here.
You got to never underestimate the power of San Francisco Shock to lose a game, I think.
It was kind of rough. Me and Sinatra, we didn't really scrim that much when we weren't playing, because it was like players that we haven't really had that much experience with in a league that we haven't had experience with.
He just turned 18. He's finally old enough to play in the Overwatch League.
I try to think about last year.
Yeah, we were all still developing.
Yeah, I don't know. Last year was just a mess.
That was a disastrous opening for San Francisco.
San Francisco Shock, a very dominant start to their season here.
Coming into this season, we know what to expect, so I think it just helps us relieve some of that, like, stress, I guess.
That's gonna be a triple kill. He puts them in the grave. Oh, that's a hole in one.
I feel like our teamwork is a lot better and we trust each other more. We worked really hard in the off-season before this to get to this point.
They were building for the future last year. The future came pretty quick.
San Francisco Shock absolutely living up to the hype.
Oh, it's huge. That's what the Shock needed again.
Probably the biggest thing for us is we all like each other, and that's just like a big thing, because you don't want to play with someone you don't like. I mean, except for him, but you know, we'll get through that.
Already dominating with this record, but looking to take it even further are the San Francisco Shock. You can see at the moment surpassing the Outlaws, the record that they had set during the inaugural season by 2 maps, looking to go the distance and get the full 28.
Yep. If you take a look at their last 2 opponents today in Fusion, which is their toughest one of the remaining 2, and then the Dragons, who are not, you know, that far off. So it's not going to be, if they would do it today, that it's just set. But I think this is definitely what you have to think of, the toughest of the 2. And all it takes is 1 map to break the streak. We know they're going to playoffs. We know they're going to be highly seeded. We know they're one of the favorites again to get at least top 4. But can they make that statement, the plus 28? It's never been done before.
Well, we're going to find out here in just a moment as we bring out our first team. It's a David in this Goliath story. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give them your energy. It's the Philadelphia Fusion.
Fusion have had a very tough stage, and not in terms of their individual performances, in terms of their opponents. And they have, you know, risen to the challenge on several occasions, but it hasn't been enough to live up to their reputation, to live up to the team you expect to get back-to-back playoffs. They narrowly got in last stage. They're looking for 2 for 2 here. They're looking to get further than they did last time. But a big roadblock stands in their way, and not only do they need this win, but they need it with the best map score possible. As you say, as a David versus Goliath story, very much the underdogs here.
And it is on the cusp of trying to get into the playoffs, need that victory. David's going up against the Goliath. Let's go ahead and introduce the ladder. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a San Francisco Shock.
The San Francisco Shock have thrown away the past, thrown away 2018. It's a new year, and it's a new start for this team, making it all the way to the grand finals of stage 1. As we head to stage 2, looking for an undefeated record, the plus 28 dream, it is obtainable. And now they face the Fusion, one of the symbols of Western Overwatch in the Overwatch League. And San Francisco Shock has kind of taken that from them. And sure, both of these teams are mixed rosters with Westerners and Koreans. When you think about the Titans, the full Korean rosters that normally dominate the Overwatch League, right now, if you're looking to cheer against them, you're rooting for Shock. They are with a new symbol of the Western hope in this league. And if they win this series, again, it kind of solidifies. They've taken that from the Fusion, the finalists from last season.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big Western players for this roster is, of course, Super up in the front on the main tank position. He's going to be going up against Sato, one of the Koreans who has not had the best season so far. It's been very rough for him and the Fusion.
That's certainly true. When you take a look at these stats, you know, you can see Super is leading in almost every single metric here as Reinhardt. He faces off against Sato, someone who's been struggling, has been often, you know, mispositioned or repositioned by great Lucio players. Moth, for example, might be one of those Lucios. Sato is going to be bullied in this series. He is going to be one of the primary targets in the Rein versus Rein. He's going to have to try to live up to Super here, and it will not be easy.
Well, taking a look at our map set presented by Toyota. See where we're headed. It's going to be Oasis to start things off, followed up by Hanamura, then Kings Row. And maybe we round things out with Junkertown, unless Philly Fusion really can rise to the occasion and extend this. We'll go ahead and start here on Garden.
Here we go. This is very much the, I feel, the map where the Fusion have their best shot at defeating the Shock. All it takes is that first grab of the control point, get that ult advantage, and control can sometimes fall away from you if that happens. As we saw even just previously how close the Florida Mayhem versus Dallas series was on control. Sometimes, you know, Titans do fall here. Look back at, you know, Overwatch history, even teams like Lunatic High would often drop control. So winning this first fight is huge. Sato's going back to the Winston here, not the Rein. Playing to his strengths and playing to that verticality.
Yeah, exactly. Once a safe way to exit the fight, just get up onto the high ground. There are a few people on the side of the Shock can match, really only going to be Troy Kyobin and Moth that can try to displace them.
You can see the Shock can't control this high ground because they can't send their Rein up there, so they're going to have to try to force them to drop down. They do that. Carpe still holds high ground though.
Yeah, wants to be able to lob those right clicks in over top of Super Shield. Gets tagged up a bit. Will be stabilized, but we're going to be going forward on Sato as he plays up, trying to get that Primal Rage ready to roll, but EQO is going to be the first one to get taken down. Now Sato following suit will be eliminated. They get close to taking down Rascal, but that's about as good as it gets for the first volley here for the Fusion.
So Carpe, he outcharges Sinatra in terms of damage, ult charge, rather, but he was poked down by Violet. Look at Violet's ult charge compared to Boombox's. He's leading damage out of all 12 heroes in the game right now. He had the beat on Carpe there. He was trying to force him to reposition. Carpe stood his ground, but paid for it with his life. And the Shock now have the ability to engage with Transcendence against an approaching Fusion.
Yep, and now that the Shock have control, Sato feels the pressure, knows that he has to swap over onto the Reinhardt. Trying to go toe-to-toe with Super. That's just going to be putting him further behind as far as charge is concerned. So he can really start nailing some of these fire strikes. But for now, slow going as the Fusion look for the reapproach.
Yep. Okay, here comes Poco for the flank, looking for the grab there onto Super.
10% away from the first shatter here. Grab getting ready to come online for Sinatra. San Francisco Shock sitting pretty at the moment as they maintain control. 50% getting ready to come through on the board.
Very risky here for the Fusion to engage without grab. They have to wait a few more moments here for Carpe to get that final 4%.
Sato going to be pushing forward. Gets the Zarya bubble out, trying to stay alive. Will be able to do so far, but look at the ults right now for the side of the San Francisco Shock. All 6 going to be online. Rally already rolling. Grab comes through from Carpe. Catches them with Troy Kyobin. He zones him back with a bomb. Rascal's still going to be taken down, but now the grab comes in response to the side of the Shock. Catching most of the members on the side of the Philly Fusion. No one going to be taken down yet, so still a fighting chance for Philly to get control of this point, and that's going to be a major pickup there for Neptuno as Violet gets taken off the map, and Moz will go down as well, so now no supports. Shock still in control, just trying to hold on to the point as long as they can to try to force out that OT.
Great play by Poco to engage here, and if you go back and look at that beginning of that fight, Sinatra was trying to track him, did very little damage, and had to reload. That's the moment that the fight was won for Fusion, because Sinatra couldn't actually do damage in that fight because he used all of his ammo trying to hit Poco. While he was reloading, he swapped over target to try to chase down Poco, to try to isolate him. Grav came out late, and it just was pretty de-synergized for the Shock. It's unfortunate to lose an ultimate like that one, the Graviton Surge, but they could certainly build it up because they're 70% ahead.
Super pushing forward, Sound Barrier's going to be coming through, gets the Soul Shatter over on the Neptuno, and will be able to get taken down. Rascal going to be on the exchange, however, Boombox coming up the kill on the back of Sato's Shatter, but now Sato going to be taken out as well. Exchange on the Reinhardt so far, but it's going to be Fusion who are actually grinding back and maintaining control as they win out the fight and get the most kills.
So right now, the Fusion take this basically without committing too much, and they know that if they can hold the ult advantage, that's their best shot of making, flipping this round into their favor because they had such a deficit. The critical part of how to hold this is to hold the high ground as we saw before, make sure Carpe doesn't get challenged by Violet. In fact, he already feels like he should probably just step down given the line of sight there with the Zenyatta for the Shock. Grav here needs to be used preemptively for the Fusion.
100 energy for Carpe. Makes him a major danger to the side of the Shock as they try to get back in and regain control. Fusion now at 70%. Ready to take the lead. Grav going to be coming out from the side of the Shock first. Sinatra starts things. The Transcendence going to be used from Boombox to try to keep him alive. Until the truck comes in, Sato gets a pin on the Rascal. So things continue to look good for the Fusion. Rally now going through from EQO as they maintain control. The Shock have to retreat, but they don't have much time left. It's 85% for the Fusion.
Yeah, the Shock actually have to commit in. There's no time for a reset.
And now Bob's going to be taken down still. 100 energy here for Carpe as he pushes forward, looking for more names to take. And Sinatra, he's the next one on the list. So he opened back over onto the point. We'll be able to force out this overtime. The bomb's not going to be able to find anybody. He pistols down EQO, but that's about as good as it gets. Shock need to pull out a miraculous turnaround now. With Violet getting closer to that Transcendence, can they make it happen?
That's what they need. If they can hit that, Sinatra will get a grab.
Shatter gonna be good, finds Sato right up into the front, but everybody playing on top of him to keep him safe. He manages to stand back up, the shield gets raised.
Sinatra needs to get in there and do that damage. He needs that grab.
Shatter comes out, not gonna be able to find anything. Neptuno going low. It's his way into the back of the fight with the rest of the team. Picking up onto the point right now are the Shock. Fusion reaggress, the Transcendence the lead from Boombox. They make their way over onto the point, but now they're not gonna have it as the grab comes out from Sinatra. Could this be the turning point? Everybody from Fusion getting locked up. Super gonna be taken down, however the beach is not in time to save his life. Sato with the pin, not gonna be able to find anything, goes a little bit too deep, gets taken down. Bomb up over the top, not gonna be able to find anything, but it's Fusion zoning them off the point, and they will take the first round of Oasis.
Very close to breaking the streak on the first map. And that was really unfortunate timing for the Shock when it was 80 to 90% around that time frame when they got that single kill. The Shock had to re-engage because if you fail to re-engage there, then there's a chance that you just get gate kept out of the point while you're waiting for a reset. But if you fight, you're fighting a losing battle 5v6. So they made that choice. They came back in reliant on Violet's trance and Sinatra getting that grab off, but the grab wasn't good enough. The setup wasn't good enough for the Shock to capitalize on the Graviton Surge and get that damage. As we move into this second round, they could easily bounce back. And once again, Sato on the Winston here. He's only going to get to keep this if they win the first point. Otherwise, he will have to swap to Ryan. That cost him a lot of ult percentage on the previous round, but they were still able to take the map, or the round itself.
Well, City Center, the staging grounds here for the Philadelphia Fusion to try to shut down this streak. Violet going dangerously low. Pew going to be chasing up onto the high ground. Sato decides to stay behind. Gonna be zapping away here, down below. Building up steadily for that primal rage, but now Boombox gonna be taken out. Carpe as well, going to be eliminated, and that is gonna be the control going over to the Shock again here at the start of the round.
You're reliant on AoE damage as the Winston in this case, and you're also reliant on, the leak damage. You can see Sato hit 75%. He almost got a primal, and oftentimes that's what is the, winning move in these fights that actually gains you the first flip. He's not going to swap over to Ryan, which I find puzzling given he swapped last time after the first push. He's close to a primal, but I don't think that's going to flip this point. That in itself is not enough. They need the grab, they need those support ultimates, and this Winston is not going to give them enough peel to do it.
Yeah, Neptuno already on the approach, getting tagged up.
A lot of time is lost here. Those support ults aren't going up for the Fusion if they're not fighting. This is great for the Shock. They're so comfortable, they can just sit back and wait.
Violet under some pressure, gonna be all right for now. The stun comes in, Sato gonna be popping that primal range. Trying to cause some disruption, he will do just that. Sinatra gonna be taken down just moments before he gets the grab online. Moth up top, goes low, will be able to stay alive for a little bit longer at least. Super drops the shatter, they manage to find EQO. Might need a little bit more than that if they want to maintain control of this point. Sato works his way to the inside, trying to stay alive. Sliver of HP remaining, and Choihoven is there to scoop up the rest of it. Finds the kill, and it seems like Shock will be able to hold this.
You can cause disruption, you can knock the members of the Shock around, you can get a kill on Sinatra, but you don't have those impactful follow-up ults. The Shock set up the Shatter with Super. Look at the difference in impact of those two ults. You bop them around, sure, Sato, but Super hits a Shatter that wins them the team fight, confirms multiple kills in a 5v6. Now they hold the critical ults they need to continue to hold this at the choke advantage.
Carpe still high energy here. Now on the reapproach.
That's one huge advantage they've got. He's got that over Sinatra.
Does he want to throw it solo on his Sinatra?
That's
exactly what he wants to do. Violet gonna be taken down off screen by Boombox. Another fantastic pick with Sinatra, manages to survive for a little bit longer, but he can't use the grab. Poco is there to scoop the kill. Choihoven gonna be taken down. And with the team in shambles, Fusion will be able to flip this as San Francisco Shock hit 95%.
Now, as amazing as it appears, and as exciting as it is sometimes to see almost grudge match-esque solo grab, San Francisco Shock knew this was going to happen. In fact, it was baited by Sinatra to see if they could get multiple ults here. And now they don't have a grab. Sinatra and everyone else has it. 6 ultimates for the Shock, 95%, one fight to win it.
Now pushing forward, building up that energy very rapidly as Super just goes ham in the front lines. Shadow gonna be coming down, but the shield was up. Manages to find Neptuno, but again, still gonna be protected by his Reinhardt standing in front. Grab online, Sinatra waiting for his moment. Needs to see where Poco is. Spots him now. Does he want to slam this one down? Pushes onto the inside. Shadow gonna be coming up, and Super has a block. The bomb gonna be right in on top of him. This could be big. Not gonna be able to find the kills as Boombox does manage to stay alive with Transcendence rolling. Shields as well there. From that sound barrier, Poco going lower and lower, will get knocked out of the mech, but San Francisco Shock have not retaken this point yet, so Fusion are still getting percentage. Grab comes in, lobs that one down, Carpe pushes forward, and to help take out Moth. Violet with the transfers a little bit too late, the damage a little bit too high. Can't keep the Lucio in the fight, it's still gonna be Fusion trading up. Answering Shatter in from Sato, finds Sinatra, he gets beamed down. The Fusion on the cusp of shutting down this win streak.
It looks like the streak may be shattered here. The shatter itself might be what does it. And the kill on Sinatra is exactly what they needed. The Zarya v Zarya, they both had similar energy. They both had the same support. But winning that fight comes down to the shatter from Sato. It was an unfair fight. Sinatra didn't get to hold his own because he was knocked off his feet. And as they approach one more time, this rally is all they've got. They will build a grab, but Boombox already has Trance. So this is a really unlikely win here for the San Francisco Shock. They're going to somehow have to make it work, though, if they want to keep that streak alive.
Choihoven very close to having that self-destruct online. Needs that one to pop. Perhaps if they want to get this flip and try to close things out, we are tied up now. Fusion taking the lead. Up top, that's going to be Poco. Knocked out Sinatra. He's got free reign to use the grab. Throws this one down right up into the front. Answering grabs out from Carpe. But Choihoven takes it away. Gets to eat. Neptuno goes down. The bomb rolling through. Few people to block that one. Choihoven manages to find 2. The flip will be coming in. And Shock, they say not yet. One more round.
The more decisive Graviton surge comes through from Sinatra. Carpe tries to panic grab. The only place he thinks is safe, but Choihoven's got his Matrix on top of the Graviton that was already placed there on top of Carpe, so he's just bathing in the defense Matrix. There's nowhere he can place it to turn it around, but if he doesn't throw the grab, they die and lose the fight, so he, in desperation in that moment, tries to place it, but Choihoven is one step ahead. And the streak, there's still alive, potentially. We can have another win here for the Shock on the following round. The big thing that's happening here that we're seeing is the the tanks here, the main tanks. Let's take a look at, well, we're going to talk about Zarya first. If you take a look at the Zaryas, you can see that Carpe is actually getting a lot more final blows, which means he's involved in getting those last-second kills. And also Sinatra, higher deaths. He's picked faster in all of these fights. He was shattered by Sato, for example. That's what I was going to get into is, I feel like in some ways, Sato's actually outperforming Super on this first map, having more impactful ults in the Rhine v Rhine.
Team seemingly stepping up to play around Sato a bit more here as we go into the final week. Neptuno almost getting picked off, the Fire Strike connecting as well, but Super taking a beating in the front lines. Slowly getting top back up, trying to retreat. Sato knows going forward, trying to get kills and overextension, so he shows restraint, peels back into the side room, and waits for that HP bar to get filled back up.
It's a ton of ult charge here for Boombox with that as well. Gonna have to re-aggress now, onto the point.
Start pushing their way forward. Boombox, Transcendence gonna be online, pops that one instantly. Just to try to keep Sato alive. Shadow gonna be coming down, catches 4 out for Super, but the kills aren't there yet. Sato juggled into the corner, still gonna be alive. The grab gonna be coming through now from Sinatra. Looking to net them some kills. Carpe gonna be the first one to fall. Super still getting battered around, but maintaining his life for a bit longer. Will finally get finished off by Poco as the sound barrier comes in from Neptuno. Fault holding onto his own. Now goes ahead and invests in Sato, will be traded out. No rhymes for either side at the moment. Bomb's gonna be available, the shield's expiring. Carpe nearing that grab, 2% left to go. Bombs out from Trey Hoban, looks for a pick, unable to find it, zones him back. The point still has not been capped.
Oh, that's a miss. That's a miss right there for Poco. That's not what you want.
Into the back, but the Baby Diva gets taken down. Good collapse there from Super, finds the punish, and that will earn them the point.
Super interesting too, the shock. It might have been unintentional, but Sinatra and Violet dropped down to the center of the map. Violet was doing damage down there. Sinatra was doing damage down there as well throughout the entirety of the fight, making Violet essentially invulnerable while doing some extra damage. Pretty hard to say that that was a plan, but they still made it work despite several other members being down in that pit. Poco as well. Carpe's got this grab for the reapproach, but they have the answering trance. They need to be careful of how many ultimates they commit to this next fight.
Grab's gonna be coming in. Lands this one cleanly, not gonna be taken away this time. It's Sato. Corner of the Transcendence just not in a position to try to keep him alive. Boombox just pull to one side of the wall, the rest of them on the other. So Shock maintained control.
It felt like a Hail Mary as well, that grab. I mean, it was a decent grab, but they must have known, you know, in retrospect, they certainly do now, that they were fighting into a choke where they weren't going to be able to get much damage done. Sure, they could trap the members of the Shock, but they can't really do much. In fact, Violet didn't even trance because he looked at the situation. He was like, well, there's just no way you can actually focus anyone down from the position you grabbed from. You've got a lot of members trapped, but it doesn't mean anything if you can't kill them.
I mean, and the big story on the backside of that is Sinatra. Look how much he's built up, 81%. Carpe wasn't able to get anything towards that next grab.
And he's got no energy as well.
So, 70% getting ready to come through. Neptuno just gonna get picked off. Chayobin finds the kill. I mean, Neptuno's been taking a lot of damage, but usually he's been staying alive, but this time it's not gonna be the case. Just gets picked off. Nicely done. Nice identification there from the Shock to find that member. Now the grab comes in again from Sinatra. He managed to find EQO, and so many members just not in a good position. Boombox gonna be taken down. Sato caught off in no man's land. He needs to die ASAP.
I love how passive Super plays as well. He steps forward doing damage. There were a few opportunities to shatter, but he knew he didn't need them. He wanted to save it for the last recontest. He might be able to prevent people from touching with that shatter.
Neptuno has to go forward, but instantly melted down. Sinatra beaming him like a laser. Shatter's gonna be coming out from Super. Doesn't catch anybody. Duo swapping over onto the Doomfist. Trying to cause some disruption, trying to turn things around, but getting a major pickoff. Looks for Rascal, unable to find it. He's gonna get stunned up. 18 HP remaining. Grab comes in with a bomb from Joey Hoban, finds another double kill. Sato and Carpe both gonna be taken down. OT takes away. That's 21 on the board. San Francisco Shock, they keep the streak going.
They certainly do, and what a great turnaround there. A dominant round to end Oasis. It looked rough for a moment there. They came back with a vengeance on that final round.
I mean, competitive though for the Fusion. That's a good thing to see at the start. Let's see if they can tie us up when we come back for Assault.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The San Francisco Shock continue their win streak, now at 21. Every win they get from here on out will be the new record. And it doesn't look like they have any signs or willingness to stop right now.
Yeah, and we just have to talk about this incredible run. And it's insane how many of these we've had this year, from Runaway to the Shock to the Vancouver Titans and match wins, British Hurricane. I mean, the list goes on and on. And let's see if the Shock can, continue to further this. And it's something that will get into your head at some point if you care about it. If the players are thinking about this win as just, 24 out of 28.
Yeah.
That can be something that stresses you out, but I think the opposite is what's occurring here, because we saw on the third round of Oasis the most composed play of the Shock we'd seen of all three. And I think that means that what's even potentially more terrifying is that the stress might actually pump them up. And we saw them go all the way to the grand finals, then go all the way to a 7th map against the Titans. So we know what they're capable of. And when you have such an easy schedule like the one they've had, you're looking for the 28.
Well, here they go on the attack. Philadelphia Fusion just going to be showing us a 3-3. Sato on the Winston to begin. Sinatra. Seems like he's going to be sticking through with this Sombra.
Yeah, this is a Zarya-less, not a Diva-less.
Hack's there on Sato. Bubble coming through, trying to keep him alive. Is it going to be enough? Hack is still there. He's not gone down, and Rascal's going to be the first one eliminated, but Super finally gets a pin to take him out. But Violet will as well be lost to the side of the Shock. Now pushing their way up onto the high ground, but I don't know if they're going to be able to last through here. Super still down to half HP. Trying to re-aggress to go forward, looking for a kill on the Carpe. Not backing down in the face of adversity or danger right now are the Shock. They actually maintain their position.
They have spawn advantage for this brief moment. They should utilize it.
Oko going low. Yobin trying to knock him out of that mech. He's unable to do so, and Sinatra seems like he's going to be sent off the map, you would expect. Good pick there by Neptuno. One tick already going to be grabbed for the San Francisco Shock so far. Neptuno now going to be taken down. Joy Yobin continues to have his number here in this series, but with the grab coming in from Carpe, that should be the finish on the push.
So normally when we think of Sombra, a lot of people think of her as a DPS, but she's played by flex tank in this meta in most cases. But when you have a DPS player playing the Sombra and you're running a Zarya-less composition, your win condition in the fights is more about the hacks and the single picks. They were looking for Sato. That's why they hacked him first. They didn't kill him. And the EMP is not really what you're thinking about as to how you win the fight. They can still utilize this EMP to get a lot of value, but the follow-up is going to have to be a shadow that they don't have. There's no grab, right? So this is a lot tougher. This is not the mega EMP like you normally see in this meta.
Brief window, though, where there's no support ultimates to go forward. It's going to be 2 members hacked up, but Sinatra's the first one to fall. Boombox, instead of having a transcendence in response, he's just going to go ahead and pick up 2 kills for himself.
Remember, he EMP'd into a high ground where the positional advantage was there for the Fusion. And also there was no follow-up. Their comp didn't have follow-up. And Super, even if he had the shadow the moment the EMP came out, he can't shatter upwards, right? So they try to use the EMP to get a positional advantage. It didn't work. He's going to swap over the Zarya now. But the whole idea about the Sombra was to get that single kill on the Sato and get the point A on the first push. Now they're massively behind an ult charge. But they certainly can still cap this.
Yep, pushing forward, going into the side room. Shatter online. Double support ultimates here for either team. Working their way around the back. Sato going to be taken down. No hack, no problem. Seems like they just do better with the Zarya in the fight. They managed to find the kill now, push their way over onto the point. They've already grabbed that 1 tick. Second one getting ready to roll through. Poco going to be using the bomb. Rascal stunts it, stops it from entering onto the point.
Huge bash there.
Now that's going to be the shadow coming down from Super, but he doesn't catch anybody. And Boombox has the Transcendence rolling. Grab's going to be out from Carpe. Pushing over the sound barrier, coming in from Moth to try to keep his team alive. So far, it's working a treat because no one's died. Boombox goes low. Neptuno saves him with the sound barrier of his own. They're in onto the point. 2 ticks going to be grabbed, trying to move their way up. Sato nearly pooped off the side. He's got the primal rage rolling. So has that low cooldown leap, makes his way back in, and Super's going to be taken down. Sinatra uses that Graviton Surge. They managed to find Neptuno, but they need a lot more than that if they want to take the fight right now. Otherwise, they're going to have to reset.
And they lost all their crucial ultimates here, Achilleos. The real problem was the grab not catching Sato. He was able to escape and push the rest of the members of the Shock away, so they couldn't capitalize on the grab. And that was, he was so close to hitting it, but narrowly avoided was Sato, the grab. And now, I mean, they have to take this fight, I think, with the trance. Yep. If anyone dies before that trance comes out, the Shock lose this. It's ready now.
Yeah, barring a massive turnaround. pushing their way forward. Good chip damage going forward onto the tanks. Bubble's gonna be used. Carpe behind with the high ground. He's trying to melt down Sinatra. Can't quite get the kill. Still holding on, high energy with the grab, ready to roll. Neptuno going lower, the bubble coming out. Clutch from Carpe, keeps his Lucio alive for a little bit longer. The grab comes in, tries to get the ball off the point. Super's gonna be playing in, Sinatra gonna be taken down. The damage is gone, but Super gets a pin on the Neptuno. Can they turn this around? Transcendence now expired from the side of Boombox. Super finds another kill. EQO gonna be taken out, and Moth has the beef to keep everybody else alive. Sato going lower and lower. They're trying desperately to keep him in the fight. The Primal Rage will push his HP bar all the way back up to full. 73%, they haven't ticked past that so far. The Shock have to stay entrenched on the point. Primal Rage gonna be expired. Carpe going lower, they push forward, they look for the kill. The bomb's out from Troyoban, zones him off the point. That's gonna be Poco taken down as he tries to use a self-destruct of his own, but he's not gonna find any kills. Sato now gonna be eliminated. San Francisco Shock actually managing to make this one happen against the odds. They will not be full health. They keep their hopes alive.
Super amazing 2 kills there. The first one on the Neptuno meant no sound barrier, and we do see, and we're gonna take a look at the Shatter here as well, which kind of opens things up right into overtime. See, the grab is out. That's where Sinatra is gonna get caught and killed. But here's the Shatter that leads to Neptuno's death. That's the huge play. But they should not have stayed. Fusion should not have stayed. Now they're down on ults. Grab coming out.
Does manage to find 2 on the side of the Shock, but the kills are still going the way of San Francisco. EQO and Sato both eliminated. Both ults used for the Fusion. As far as their supports are concerned,
another
Super solo Shatter on the Boombox takes him down and knocks him out of the park. 2 ticks already rolling through. And the San Francisco Shock looking to make the best out of what was a near disastrous situation. EQO cannot tag on to the point. He does not live long enough.
Yeah,
nearly take this one up. They'll finish off the supports here, and that will be it. Time
Fusion
to bank.
should not have come back to the point when they lost Neptuno. They should have prepared to defend. They fought a longer fight. They gave all the extra ultimates over to the Shock. They gave another grab to Sinatra. They gave another Shatter to Super. They stayed too long. They played greedy, and that led to a double cap. What was originally a disaster becomes a 3-10 time bank.
Admirable stabilization. 3-10 in the time bank at the end. Let's see what the Fusion can get done with their attack.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Shock going from nearly being full health with only 73% to capping. Of course, don't miss the talent takedown presented by Team Mobile and the All-Star Arcade presented by State Farm. That's going to be coming up on the 15th. Myself and Wolf will be participating in the talent takedown representing the Pacific Division.
Definitely going to be winning too.
We are going to be hard clapping Brennan's sideshow. They do not stand a chance.
You and I are technically from the East Coast. You know, we'll take the Pacific.
But we live in Korea most of the time, so it's all right.
All right, well, let's take a look at what strategy the Fusion want to roll out with here on the attack. They know that it's not the greatest time bank possible for the Shock. And if they get a good time on A, they're very likely to end up with, you know, at least a mirrored time bank on B. So interesting to see Sato on this Wrecking Ball here to start.
And Rascal.
Yeah, Rascal once again going over to their Batiste. We see Shock do this a lot.
Rascal, one of the first ones who really embraced the new hero here at the beginning of stage 2.
Yeah, along with you know, a few others, like we saw Toronto running it a lot with Neko, but they're gonna swap a few times here.
Okay.
And they're just gonna try to outrange them with this Pharah, try to poke them down eventually.
Trying to find anybody who's disconnected. The Concussive Blast can knock people out of that immortality field, maybe set up some big plays here for the side of the Fusion. Rockets coming down from above. Sato just gonna be rolling through, tries to force them off the point.
It's not really connecting with most of these rockets though right now, unfortunately.
A lot of them being blocked out by D-Matrix's shields, Zarya bubbles, etc. So it's only able to build up 25% at the moment, but as he goes up onto that high ground, he finds Violet by himself. Manages to take him down. Dragon Strike still gonna be on the way for Carpe as well, at 72%. Lots of them out for a little bit more. One tick nearly grabbed for the Fusion. Moth's gonna be eliminated now. Carpe finds that opening, and things start looking very good for them. The tick comes through, they're holding on to a Transcendence, and Shock is so far away from having support ultimates, let alone their support's really on the point, as both of them got picked off.
All right, this is a good opportunity now for the Fusion to smash the time bank with this next attack.
They're gonna swap the Pharah, I believe.
Yeah,
They
I
just
think
do a
so.
full change.
I think they need to keep, they can swap everything but the Sombra. I think Poco needs to use this EMP. The Dragon Strike's just used because he doesn't want to look like he wasted his ult. But
Just for fun.
Poco is already, you could see it on his health bar, he's already out there. Like, he knows that they could potentially get a 5-minute plus time bank if his EMP is good. So he's up here trying to get the last percentage points of the ult. Even if this doesn't get them the cap, it should build an advantageous position for the Zarya here. You know, especially if they can force Sinatra to grab here. Suddenly Carpe is way ahead. Shock know this, they're playing passively because of this. They don't have support ults, but they will in just a moment. So there are ways to deal with this EMP ult efficiently. And the longer the Fusion wait, you know, that Violet ultimate is ticking up.
Well, that's gonna be the Translocator in, holds on to the EMP, throws it down now, manages to divide 3. Violet still has the Transcendence, but doesn't feel the pressure to need it because they pull so far back. No one's really taking damage. Now, as the Fusion drop down, the grab's gonna be coming through. Boombox has a response with Trans of his own. Does manage to help keep Neptune alive for a little bit longer. Super goes low. Transcendence comes in from Violet. They know that Carpe is still gonna be far away from that Graviton Surge. They can afford to use this.
Okay, look at this. This is what I'm talking about, though. Carpe walks away with double the grab charge.
Well, Boombox is isolated. He's just gonna be taken down. Sinatra is still pushing for it, manages to kill him off, and now he's got free reign to do whatever he wants. And surpass Carpe in that grab charge.
This is the third or fourth time we've seen Fusion get greedy in lost fights. You know, we talked about how Carpe was ahead in grab charge, or I mentioned it very briefly. He also had high energy. He walked back in to try to get even more charge and died. Now they're exactly dead even at 69 to 69. And Sinatra has more energy because Carpe reset to 0 on his reapproach here. So, you know, the greed does not pay off. In fact, they get punished for it, and they lose a lot of that time bank as well.
Looks like they still want to maybe go with the left side approach. Will drop down to go to main. So pushing their way in. They're hoping up from behind them, forces them, reroutes them outside.
Just harassing and looking for a, you know, grab. If you can catch even one member off, you can help isolate and kill them. A lot of time wasted here for the Fusion as they ring around the Rosie.
This is some yakety sacks at the moment with their movement. Have to get rerouted so many times. Rally's going to be out from both sides. Grab's ready to go. Sinatra slams that one down. Manages to find EQO, but that's going to interrupt that rally in the middle of the armor being distributed to his teammates. Sato trying to exit, charges out. Seems like he might be safe for now, but Super, he wants more. He goes forward and helps find Boombox. They'll also get Carpe.
And this is the time bank advantage gone. It's not going to happen anymore. It's impossible. So much blocking of the Transcends coming out from all the shields on the Shock means that Boombox also loses his Trance, yet doesn't save EQO. And if you rewind back to that one overextension from Carpe, that might be the moment they lost time advantage. Despite Shock capping A in overtime, now they're starting to feel the stress, now they're starting to feel the pressure. They only have one support ultimate here, so getting all 3 ticks is unrealistic, even though they have tank ults.
They find Chehoben over into the side, waiting to set up the grab. Carpe will be able to use it, but Sato's going to be taken down, so already a disadvantage to the side of the Fusion as they try to continue the approach. The shields from Neptuno do not last long enough. They do not absorb enough. They will get cleaned up. The supports are gone. San Francisco Shock already with an advantageous time advantage. They're going to be looking to go to map 22 in this streak by stopping the Fusion from getting the cap on B.
More than the time advantage, the real elephant in the room is the ult advantage that comes with it.
Yeah.
And this is starting to look like a hold here on B. Time notwithstanding. They got another grab. Carpe's grab, worthless when Sato died there. It's another one of those grabs from Carpe where it felt forced. It wasn't enough follow-up damage. They weren't in position to really use the grab. And in a case like that, sometimes you have to die and reset. Sometimes you have to back off. But they forced it despite the unideal conditions. And now, I mean, all they've really got here is a shatter. This pushes otherwise just to build a Carpe grab. But that's going to take a whole more, a whole nother 60 seconds off the clock.
Rally's out. They push their way through.
It's just disengaging of the shock. Not even gonna take the fight with your rally. I'm just gonna walk away.
Yep. Just drop down. Know that they have to play the point anyway. Rally's gonna expire. You can just wait out this armor if they want. Fusion, the majority of them still gonna be up onto the high ground. Poco trying to poke from above. Super does get taken rather low. Now he's gonna be pushing forward. The rally comes out from Rascal. Sinatra waiting for the setup. Knows where Poco is. Doesn't feel pressure to use it yet. 100 energy ready to go. Sato dangerously low, trying to stay alive. Slurve of HP for him. Now EQO as well. Getting heavily punished. Transcendence has to be used, but Poco's going to be knocked out of the back, and he can't make it back in because Rascal is there to shut down the Baby Diva.
There's the grab.
In onto the Lantern. Finds him. The kills will follow. A minute and 20 remaining. The Fusion. Can they get anything done? Can they get this cap on B?
Sinatra
Right
says,
now, it seems like it's going to have to be an overtime.
Sinatra walks up and he says, this is my point. You are going to have to retreat. Make a choice, Fusion. Fight me. I know you don't have grab. If you use the trance to try to re-engage, I'm going to grab right afterwards. If you don't use the trance, everyone's going to die. Make your choice. As we're all walking forward, no indecision. Barely any ultimates used for the shock. The defensive rally, the later rally used, they have everything. And the Fusion have no real tools to open this, and no time. This is gonna be nigh impossible. Zero energy for Carpe, but he's gotta try.
Giving him away, pushes his way up to 35. Grab is ready. Needs to landing, needs to find kills, but without him being at about 100 energy, killing anybody through Transcendence is gonna be nigh impossible, to take your words. Drop their way down onto the point. They're looking to harass Super, but Boombox going lower and lower. Sound barrier forced out from them too. That'll buy them a little bit more time to get the Transcendence ready to go. Sound barrier now matched by Moth. Dash comes in on Sinatra, but Sato's gonna be taken down. Shatter comes out from Super, knocked over the side, still manages to hit Neptuno in the back. Grab's gonna be coming through, but it's still gonna be the Shock who have the advantage. The bomb's not gonna be able to find anything, but Troy Hoban makes it back in the back. Poco nearing a self-destruct of his own up onto the high ground, just sitting on the awning. But even then, he doesn't have the tools, he doesn't have the setup to try to make this bomb really pop, to find some kills. You hear the explosion, there's nothing in the kill feed for them, and the OT is just gonna start bleeding away. EQO up onto the high ground with the Wrecking Ball, can't do anything, and the Shock, they continue 22 maps in a row.
Extremely confident, extremely ult efficient, knowing how to pressure their opponents to use ults first, knowing they had the defender's advantage. And Fusion, they took too many risks. They had one great chance to have the better time make, and everything fell apart when they got greedy. And the San Francisco Shock, we're not going to give them any quarter. What a dominant defense there on Hanamura.
I mean, if they want the win, if they want to keep their playoffs hopes alive, now they're looking at a reverse sweep against a Shock. Tough order, let's see what happens after halftime.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
Look, Ma, this team has a 22-map win streak. The Shock, well, that's been easy, but they've won the first 2 so far, up against the Philadelphia Fusion. Welcome back into the Blizzard Arena. It's Puckett, we've got Bren, we've got Sideshow, and yes, as we mentioned on the lead-in, the Shock are still perfect in Stage 2. They have not dropped a single map yet, guys, and we know one man has been leading this charge for this team.
Yeah, an unreal performance so far from Super, I'd say. I mean, again, Mr. Consistent so far is just been playing out of his mind. I will say, though, map 1, closer than I think a lot of people were anticipating. I think
Definitely.
We all agreed as well on the pre-show. I think Philly have a very good chance of actually taking a map away, breaking the streak out of a lot of these teams. They definitely showed it in this first one, but again, it all came down to a lot of individual plays from the Shock members.
Super is #1 in hero damage done and #1 in final blows as well on the right. And he plays so aggressive to build space for Sinatra. And the two of them juggle aggression perfectly to make sure that neither of them are going to die or overextend. They rotate people through the front line. And although this map was incredibly close, I felt like the San Francisco Shock still played very well.
Taking a look at the Reinhardts individually as you compare Super alongside Sato, you can see the numbers are definitely in favor of Super, but Sato not too far behind. That first map was closer than the second one, but how do you feel these two are matching up?
I really want to focus on the ultimates. I think Super is incredibly intelligent. His brain is enormous. Small man, big brain. And he always comes into these fights with a knowledge of what ultimates are up on the other team, especially Sato's ult. And he's always ready for these shatters. He did an incredibly good job of being able to stop these ultimates coming through. And that's something that the San Francisco Shock in general are very, very good at, is thinking about what the enemy team has and being able to stop it.
Well, you can see here as well, individual plays from all of the San Francisco Shock lads as well. I mean, Troy Hoban as well, knowing exactly what the win condition for Philly was, reading them like a book.
Yeah, and they put so much pressure on Carpe. What can he do except grab in that situation?
This was incredible by Rascal as well. Something that players probably don't realize you can do. You can shield bash self-destruction. You can actually prevent the momentum of them.
Another ultimate just completely negated from Philly. And here's another one as well. The grab comes out from Sinatra. They try and use the Transcendence to heal EQO back up. And take a look at this in slow-mo again.
How do you kill through a trance?
Here's Sinatra with his personal bubble diving deep into the grab, making sure that there's absolutely no chance that trance can get anything. I mean, Shock are just on another level. Some teams are still struggling with getting use out of their own ults. And Shock, Titans, NYXL, these teams are at the top. They're thinking about their own ults. They're thinking about the other team's ults. They're thinking about games they had last Tuesday and applying pressure and logic from those games. They're 72-dimensional brains.
Guys, it's 22 maps in a row. Do they make it 24-0?
At this point, I think it's looking highly likely, honestly. We're going into, I believe, King's Row is the next map.
They are so good at that map.
I believe it's King's Row again. Don't quote me on that. It's not like it's my job or anything to know what map's coming up. But yeah, I mean, realistically, they are looking like they've been heating up. I mean, Philly looked good in the first sort of section of this map 1, but map 2 was just an absolute slaughter.
There you have it, going all Shock today. That's going to do it for our halftime coverage. But before we go, we had to sit down with EQO from the Fusion to talk about the youngest of the Shimada brothers, Genji. There's nothing worse than breaking out a Dragon Blade and dying immediately. But you get your timing down. Once you get your timing down, you'll be racking up those team kills in no time. This is Game Set, sponsored by Omen by HP.
This guy, he doesn't care. He just melees you to death.
EQO made it look easy.
My name is Josue Corona, and my battle tag is EQO, and I play for the Philadelphia Fusion. Genji can pretty much get high ground instantly. That makes him an assassin that you always have to be aware of. My settings are pretty typical. I use a 240 Hz monitor, so I keep it display-based, so my FPS is consistent. For my Genji settings, I have different sensitivity than my other heroes. I use 1600 DPI with 2.37 cents in-game. For my crosshair, I always change it around. I don't think crosshair is something that matters that much. For my ultimate key, I have it on 2, simply because when I first started playing Overwatch, I felt like I would fat finger my Q too much. I also swapped my melee to F, and that's about it for my Genji settings. You need to understand the damage output of Genji and the damage potential that you might do on squishy targets. Your first priority obviously is always get high ground if possible, And your second priority is to always poke before you can get a combo. If you right-click right after you dash, you can animation cancel with your melee. You dash, right-click, melee. That's one of the primary Genji combos that you're probably gonna be looking into if you're playing like a sneaky Genji. If I'm fighting a Zenyatta in a choke like this, where there's a lot of walls near me, you can maximize the most damage you can by right-click melee, and then you wall climb, dash, and you're gonna have another right-click, so you can probably win the 1v1 in around 2 seconds. When I'm gonna Dragon Blade, I wanna be on the backline already. I like to dash above them and then Dragon Blade. You don't wanna have Dragon Blade and pull your dash first, because then if you don't kill anyone, you're gonna be in a very bad situation. Thanks for watching my episode of Game Set. I hope I made you a better Genji player today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're currently at match point in favor of the San Francisco Shock as they maintain this win streak now at 22 maps in a row. Philadelphia Fusion looking very competitive at times, especially on control. It was a great way to start things off, but the momentum has really slowed and shifted back into the favor of the Shock.
Certainly true. I mean, there have been, I think, some nerves on the side of the Philadelphia Fusion. They have overextended trying to get ult charge. They've overextended in fights that were lost for them, giving the Shock additional ultimate charge like we saw in Hanamura A, which led to the double cap. So I think they need to calm down, get their mentalities back straight, and play a little bit more passively. It's okay to sometimes give up a point, even when you have a fighting chance of retaking it, because the consequences are so dire in those moments where you continue to fight over the point.
Yeah, respect the snowball basically is what that boils down to, but we're getting ready to go into our final, well, not final map, but, you know, our next map here that could decide the series for the San Francisco Shock if they can close this and go 3-0, move up to 23 maps in a row. Kings Row, as they mentioned during the halftime show, a map that they're very good at overall, but Fusion are currently undefeated.
Yeah, 4-0. So the Shock have faced New York and Vancouver here, if I remember correctly. So, you know, those not all stats are created equally, but
true.
Everyone remembers the Vancouver Shock from the beginning of the season. It was an incredible match on this map. But taking a look at, you know, where we're headed here for the defense, nothing out of the ordinary. Stick to what you're great at. Stick to what got you to a 7th game in the grand finals.
And stick to basically what your opponents are going to be running as well. As we saw the Farah Hanzo come out briefly for the Fusion. swap off of that to try to move into B. Shock, be pushing forward, Super very aggressive here, wrapping around that left-hand side of the fountain, or the statue rather. Trying to get some damage in, but so far hasn't led to many connections. Fire strike gonna be decent. Violet's picking off Carpe. Oh no, that's a disaster. Trying to turn something around here. Trying to maintain control, but now losing out on the EQO as well. The armor pack's gonna be taken out. That passive steady healing coming through. And that just means the Shock will explode forth onto point A.
This is the worst possible scenario for Philadelphia because you've lost your damage. You've lost Carpe first in the fight, so you can't realistically win the fight. You've got a huge run back from spawn as Azaria, so you're never going to get back. And then you can't just walk off the point and give it up, or you'll, give a huge timing. But if you stay, and suddenly Sinatra's going to grab, you're sitting at 33%. Carpe dying first here is, quite literally the worst thing that could have happened to the Fusion.
Yeah, 40% compared to Sinatra, who's already got the grab ready to go. Waiting for his opportunities. The cart continues to inch its way through this archway. Rally gonna be out from Rascal. They push forward. The shatter from Super knocks him to the ground. The Transcendence not enough from Boombox, trying to keep Sato alive, so he will be eliminated. Now the grab coming in, and the health bar is disappearing. They swing their way to success in the back of Super here. Poco just sitting in the corner says, guys, come on, don't stagger me, just let me go.
They let him go.
They will abide.
They do let him go. You know, when you use the Shatter and you get a Transcendence like that, not only the Transcendence, but the solo kill, or the single kill rather, you know that your grab is going to be extremely potent on the follow-up. So, that's an easy decision for Sinatra to just go ahead and commit. Now, about to lap Carpe if he wins this next upcoming fight, where they have support advantage in terms of ultimates and healing to contest point B. Shock's got everything going for them.
Rally out from EQO, pushing forward. Devil Super around a little bit. Shatter going to be coming down. They manage to find Rascal in the front. We'll find the elimination, but it's an exchange on the Brigidas as both do fall. The cart continues to advance. Sato, sliver of HP, Carpe as well. That's going to force the sound barrier out from Neptuno, trying to buy him out time for Boombox to get the next trance up. Will be able to do so. Shatter comes in, bombs to the back. Unable to find any picks here. Poco makes it back into the back safely, but the rest of his team is dead around him. And now he's going to lose it again.
I just want to mention the Shock were down a member, and they were caught in a grab. And they were the ones who came up with the kills. We see the follow-up grab from Sinatra there ends up being more successful in the ensuing fight. And, again, he laps Carpe and ult charge. So how do you take this one and bring it back to the Fusion with no tools? You're going to have to be aggressive. You're going to have to try to take advantage of this one fight where there's no ultimates online for either teams. You know that. You can't be passive here, though, or the card is just going to roll, and the Shock are going to catch up to their ultimates. Then you're going to have a problem on your hands at C.
Sato, very aggro, pushes up Saul. That Super was dangerously low there, wanted to get that kill. Does manage to stay alive, pulls back with the rest of his team, but so much space is given up to the Shock. 4.5 minutes remaining as they continue to push up. Fusion doing nothing but retreating at the moment. That's really all that they can do. Shadow comes down, manages to find Carpe. That's going to be the Transcendence coming in from Boombox. It's an outcome. Did he look into the kills? Good takeaway. Poco does manage to get rid of that grab. Sound barrier now out from Neptuno. Could this be the turnaround fight? Sato still is having to raise the shield, trying to stay alive. Bubble comes in, Super going to go down. Seems like Fusion will be able to stabilize. The retreat call comes in for the Shock.
That was the point C defending moment when Poco ate the grab, because what happened right before that was Sinatra forced out the Transcendence just from left clicks alone. So he was hoping for that massive grab there to finish them all off. He was at full energy. He still did a ton of damage. He's still about to catch up to Carpe's next grab that he didn't use in that fight. But, that would have been a 4-minute plus time bank if that was not absorbed.
Well, Neptuno going to be taken down as they ramble around the flank. Hart still just sitting here for the moment. Grab will come through. They manage to find Sinatra by himself. The sound barrier coming in perfectly timed. They're trying to keep him alive. Shield is raised. Super blocks out of the bomb. Carpe going to be taken down as the sound barrier shields do expire on the side of the Shock. Transcendence is running from Boombox. Biden still holding on to one of his own. Shatter comes down, catches one on the point here, and EQO will be eliminated. Now Sato going to be gone. Their options exhausted. Philadelphia Fusion will have to allow them to push this one in. 3+ minutes still remaining for the Shock.
They are just so much more coordinated in Fusion right now. They are running circles around them. They're out-positioning them. They're finding single kills without using their ultimates. It's insane. The Shock are on track to get that 28. I think they're going to get it this stage, man.
I mean, it might be the first loss on Kings Row as well for the Fusion. Let's see if they can pull something out when we come back for their round.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back. 3 minutes, 6 seconds, the time to beat the Shock. Looking very convincing here on Kings Row.
Sinatra, absolutely in control. He and Super have dominated the tank line, have built more grabs than Carpe. Right now, Sinatra more than doubles the damage that Carpe has done in terms of the Zarya v Zarya. 7 Graviton Surge kills to 0. And in less than half the time, in fact, he's on the verge of tripling ult charge build time. So, I mean, we're talking about a mismatch here in terms of the coordination that allows Sinatra to have this much success.
Well, we're not done with this series, but make sure you check out our match of the week. The Dragons going to be going up against the Shock, who are displaying some dominance at the moment. Dragons looking for their first playoff performance. We'll see if they can have some better success going up against the Shock. Fusion, though, coming out on their attack. 4 minutes to start. Let's see what they can get done on Kings Row, where they're undefeated at the moment.
Really going to have to hope for a first push cap here. Remember, Carpe died first on the defense last time. They're going to have some sort of similar early kill if they want to have the A time bank that the Shock started with. They're going to wrap around the high ground here, and sometimes that can lead to a cutoff kill onto someone who's overextended on the low ground. The Shocker again just playing back, and look at where Rascal's standing, so he can just bash anyone who jumps down.
Good damage on a Super, forces him over towards the archway. It's the damage to begin. The harassment here for the Fusion allows them to work their way up over onto the point. They can't stay for too long. Now into the hotel, wrap around from the Shock, looking for that flank. Super pushing forward, nearly has a shatter on line. Sinatra almost gets picked off, but Poco, he's gonna be knocked out of the mag. Already crucial pick here for the side of the Shock. Need a little bit more if they want to shut down this push. Already going to be 55% gain for the Fusion. They don't suffer any real members. Poco has pistoled his way back up into the mech. Seems like he might be able to get back in there, but not Neptuno. Oh, he's going to get caught disconnected from the rest of the squad as they themselves move into the hotel.
I mean, San Francisco Shock flow like water. When you see them move around, hold that thought.
Okay, Shatter does coming down, fighting both the points. Violent going to be taken down. Grab comes in, so he opened up into the front, trying to stay alive. Sound barrier does come through from bot to try to keep the fight rolling in favor of the Shock, but Super's going to get picked off, and Fusion suddenly see their opening. Answering sound barrier now available for Neptuno. They're in onto the point, the second tick getting ready to come through. Shock seeming like they're just going to retreat and surrender this one.
They certainly have to. Well, saying they flow like water because the way they move around these points and how coordinated they are at finding and isolating targets is terrifying. Masato put up the dam on this one. That shatter ends up being exactly what they needed. If that doesn't go off, then there's no way they can win this. So huge hero moment here for Sato, and they get a time bank that's not really all too different from what the Shock started with previously. So this is absolutely a time bank they can match if they can match the dominance that comes with it.
Not enough time to get grouped back up to try to contest here at the choke. Carpe going low, gets the bubble to keep himself safe, and Violet just spamming away, manages to find that shot onto EQO. And that is going to allow for the Shock to occupy this archway now. Sinatra will get taken down. He's going to have a really long run back. Try to join in with the rest of the squad, so Fusion might be able to break through, and they're going to be trying to do that on the back of Boombox's Transcendence. Comes in, the kills are going to be there in the match, so Fusion can finally start rolling this card.
Yeah, this is a really good momentum swing here for the Fusion. It just keeps going. They only use 2 support ultimates here to dominate the Shock and end up getting around this corner for free. One of the tougher parts to cross on the way to B is this, Z-shaped corner right here. Sinatra has to come back, regroup with no energy. Doesn't have the grab yet either. That is the one way that can really stop this push, knowing there's no Transcends on the other side. But with low energy, very tough to make that choice.
Grab coming in, but Toyoban is ready for it. He takes another one away from Carpe. That could be control going back over to the Shock. Fusion still inching the card forward. This is about as far as it can go without any contention. The Shatter coming in from Super, finds 3, knocks him to the ground. And that's just got to be the fight abandoned by the Fusion.
And they did this, off the back of just really one shatter. And now the Fusion have got to be feeling really frustrated because they pushed the cart, they had the momentum, they got through the toughest part of the map. Notice that this zigzag, pattern is where a lot of the Shock members were standing here to see if they can catch any stragglers, and where Sinatra pokes. You take so much damage going through this Z-shaped corridor from the poke, from potential right clicks from the Zenyatta, that you by the time you actually go to contest the cart, you're low health. Look at Poco, already chipped down. He's gonna have to get a Brigida health back.
Sinatra's not even high energy.
Nope. So this is the struggle, right? How do you approach this? How do you take an ult-efficient fight going around this corner? You can see how much damage everybody takes. Sinatra's 1 man versus 6 at the front because he's got so much support and he knows he has positional advantage. You walk around that corner, you're gonna pay for it.
Just trying to work their way forward. Nearly 6 ultimates online for the Fusion of Carpe can get the grab ready. 25% more. The rally's gonna be coming up from EQO as they start pushing forward. Super's down below half HP. Fire Strike chipping away at him as well. So many ultimates available on either side. This fight really could go either way. Cart contested, just 2.7 meters away from B. Fusion needing and looking for that time bank bump up to get from rolling in.
They're being so patient, they want to force the trance from Boombox, but he is not going to take the bait. They're probably going to have to hard engage here.
Well, the onus is really on Philly. Grab's going to be coming through. Managed to find them here onto the corner. Sato into the back, trying to find the pin, but instead, it cost him his life. The Shatter comes through. Carpe knocked to the ground. Transcendence will help keep alive. Now they'll chain in with the sound barrier from Neptuno. The grab comes in. Carpe is isolated. Joyoban is there. The scoop up for the alley-oop. They get the kill, and Boombox, well, you got nowhere to go.
You said it perfectly when you said the onus was on Philly. They had to engage. They had to fight. Time was ticking. They were in a disadvantageous position, meaning they're taking more damage the longer they sit there trying to approach the cart. And if they wait and wait and wait for a perfect opportunity, then that time bank that they're already 2 minutes the weaker in is going to get worse. And now you're looking at potentially a hold here on B. Grab doesn't work out. They had to grab first. Shock were ready. It's not a good look right now for the Fusion.
No, it is not. Rally out again from EQO to try to start off the push. Off by himself. He's behind. They're going to push forward and look to knock him out of the mag. So far, have not been able to do so. Super going lower and lower. Torhilbin back over onto the high ground. Gets that shield from Montsbeat as they try to stay alive. Sato just trying to stay a figurehead here for his team up in the front, but will crumble under the pressure. Sinatra manages to find the kill. The bomb comes in from Poco, but it's not going to be able to find anything for the Fusion. 20 seconds remaining. They just have to peel out of here. Trying to get one last push in.
I don't know if they can. The grab is out.
They're not being given the opportunity. The Shatter comes in from Super. He finds a kill on the Boombox. Poco gonna be knocked out of the mech, and Carpe killed down in the tube.
That's the fight you have to take, but it's not a winning fight. The celebration into the sky. 1-1 away from 24 here.
And that's just gonna be it. They take it again. San Francisco Shock. They will not adhere. They extend the win streak even further. 23 maps in a row.
And I think we're just gonna have to keep saying it until it's broken. This is so unbelievable how dominant this squad has been this stage. We argued it was an easier schedule, but in a tough opponent like the Fusion, they're making it look easy.
I mean, they're still playing so very well. Fusion need to pick up a map. Let's see if they can do it when we come back for Escort.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's Network, T-Mobile.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is it, down to the wire. The Philadelphia Fusion need to win one map here. They need to take Escort if they want to keep their hopes of going to the Stage 2 playoffs mathematically alive. But right now, with the momentum that the Shock have, they're staring at that 24 win streak.
Yeah, and they just came off of their first loss on Kings Row for the season. And, I mean, momentum it has been away from them since Oasis. They haven't looked close, they haven't looked competitive since then. Kings Row, they got utterly crushed. You know, had that Shadow not got off for Sato, we might have seen even a full hold with the ults that the Shock had, and the positional advantage they had. I mean, you know, we framed this so much around the win streak of the Shock. And at the beginning of this season, with Fusion's track record in the end of the 2018 season, their road to the finals, this would have been heralded as one of the better matchups, you know? And look at the scores for these two teams, 9-3, 8-5. It's not too far off. But yet still, you know, what everyone's watching this now and thinking is, can Shock get the 24-0? People have already given up on the playoffs for Fusion.
Well, right now, looking to break open the cart with Sinatra onto the Bastion. Sato going to be charging out the safety. Let's get stunned up. It seems like he's going to be safe for now. Barrier comes down from Super. EQO going to be melted. And already, the cart will start to advance. Hook's going to be good. Neptuno taken down by Violet. We know just how proficient he is with this Roadhog, and he shows it off right at the beginning of the round.
Carpe caught at the end. See if the Fusion want to swap composition here against this pirate ship, because as the attacker, you have the advantage of being able to change things. So the Shock had to play something, the Fusion had to play something a little bit more standard coming out of the gates. They are going to stick with this now. They're not running Winston, they're not running any sort of dive. So how do they break this? It's going to have to be on the back of a really good defense matrix from Poco. It's going to have to be a flank from Boombox. I mean, if you just run it like this with the Hog there, I mean, how could he break it?
Well, super aggressive here. The Immortality Field still alive as Sinatra tries to survive. Sato trying to hold the shield. Boombox will be able to find the kill. Sato going to be taken down now. Super as well traded out. But kills are still going to be coming through for the San Francisco Shock. Violet zoned out into the back. Gets the hook in, just trying to break Poco out of the neck. The whole Hog using desperation. He's only got 95 HP remaining. But he's going to be pocketed. Moth is there. They keep him alive.
The only thing that, you know, they accomplished was killing the Bastion, which is the moment where you feel triumphant if you're a Fusion fan, because you killed Sinatra. The damage is done. You know, they killed Rascal's Immortality Field. They can break through. The res comes through, though. That's, you know, that's all you need. Look at this. He just steps back. He's got full reign of control over all the entry points.
Yep, they get that halt. That's going to be Sato taken down. Bomb looking good for Trejo, but now just going to be lobbing these configuration tank shots into the back. Neptuno caught in midair. Direct hit comes through, and Poco as well will be eliminated. See, he just knows. He knows that this stuff is done. He's like, well, I'm just going to hold the cart here until you kill me.
Yep.
But this is delaying him from being able to get set up.
The payload already got its checkpoint, so the door was opening, so regardless, you know, this ends up being not the greatest thing for Poco, as they're just going to wrap around the corner here. Now, I'm surprised to see the Shock are going to continue to run this, given that the Fusion have all the ults to break them. But if you walk out alone...
That right click does come through. Boombox manages to find Sinatra again, but the rest is going to be there from Maul. Violet. He's feeling a little bit saucy. He's going to be pushing forward, looking for another
No fear from the Shock against all the ultimates. Just walking out, they're looking for kills. If they lose, they could just swap. They want them to use ults, but if they just keep getting these kills, if Violet keeps getting these hooks, then you don't even need to swap. You could just keep getting this insane time bank up.
Troy Hellman just going to be moving the back up, and oh man, the Amp Matrix through. Sinatra just melts everybody. They cannot step up to the Bastion.
They were stuck in that room, and then he just tossed in the Amplification Matrix. Now they can't leave. Sinatra's just going to stick on this high ground. He's about to have another configuration tank. This is going to be a 3:30 time bank for B, almost unheard of on Junkertown.
I mean, Fusion, it feels like they've been holding, this might be the case, honestly. It feels like they've been holding these ultimates the entire time, but they have never been given an opportunity to use them.
Yes, because
other than Sato.
Shock are coming out to meet them, and they're not allowing them to ult on the point. They're not allowing them to ult where they want to. And every time the Fusion tries to fight them in these positions without ults, they get killed. And then they get to use their ults. Sato's gonna have another shatter soon, but I don't think that's really useful here.
Violet just spamming here from the side. Whole hog ready to go. Hook comes in. Immortality field gonna be taken away. Configuration tank's gonna be there, but that's gonna be the supports going down. So Fusion finally able to use a grab. Might be able to stabilize a bit here. Drop down comes in from Super, just dives to the bomb. Get killed off quickly so they can reset.
So they're gonna probably swap, over to the 3-3. But the ult advantage that Philadelphia Fusion would have had they been able to take any of these fights without using ults would have been massive. Imagine they still had the rally, the Graviton Surge, the self-destruct. But now Sinatra walks out of spawn with just a few points behind in his ult charge versus Carpe. So you feel great as the Shock that you're able to get that extra push to B for that aggressive play with the Amp Matrix.
Goes around the back, they manage to find Troy Hillman. He'll use the bomb, tries to make it back in, but EQO swinging away. Manages to kill off the Baby Diva and also keep himself alive. Nicely done, good picks here. Fusion need to drain some time off of this bank. Folks just gonna be coming through Shock. They know that they're at a severe ult disadvantage. Just need to get as much chip damages as humanly possible, especially from Violet. Tried to get that Transcendence online, but I don't think it's going to happen in time to deny Carpe's grab away.
Don't think so either, but he might not need it to win this fight.
Shatter coming out, not going to be able to find anything. Neptuno will get picked. Now answering Shatter in from Sato. That's going to be Sinatra taken down with the pin. Super manages the match onto EQ. Whoa, but Sato was there to scoop the kill onto his counterpart, Reinhardt. Shock still playing forward over onto the cart, trying to stabilize. With Carpe going down, they might be able to do so.
Sometimes it's good to know that any fight is winnable. Sometimes it's good to know that, if we get a single kill after this fight that looks lost, we might be able to turn it. I mean, Sato did just that on King's Row previously. But I feel like throughout this series, the Fusion have just lost a member and continue to fight, giving endless ult charge to the Shock, taking unwinnable fights, getting into the worst positions in terms of the advantages they had, and throwing them away in some of these extended fights. And Sinatra's 20% behind Carpe now. He's so close. This grab needs to be a big one.
Drop down coming through. Sinatra not able to build up anything in the grab.
Not
able to find anybody at all. The bomb from Troy Hillman, though, that's a big one. The triple kill comes through. And that is just the ranks of Philadelphia Fusion completely decimated.
The Fusion just, the grab didn't connect, and they got completely split in half. What a one-sided push. 2 minutes in the time bank here for the San Francisco Shock. They got all the way from A to B with a Bastion composition against a team that had 6 ults to counter, as you mentioned. It felt like they were holding them forever. The San Francisco Shock looked for choke points they could control with Sinatra's Bastion, looked for the Amplification Matrix after the trapped Fusion, staggered several kills, got value out of the configuration tank, and ult advantage that made it look like it's not even important. Made it look like it doesn't even matter. And, I don't know what the trajectory was there on Carpe's grab, that he thought he was going to grab the members of the Shock. Maybe a misclick there, but it comes up super wide, doesn't collect anybody. And as everyone tries to collapse onto a grab, they then suddenly realize doesn't have anybody locked into it. They put themselves in a vulnerable position to Joyhobin's self-destruct. It's all a big mess for the Fusion, unfortunately. We're gonna take a look at this again. Now watch Carpe where he's standing. See him on the left side, he hits the wall here, and you can see the self-destruct is launched right afterwards.
Yep, drops it down. Shatter set up from Super. Triple kill over to Joyhobin. Good way to ensure that push to the finish. A minute and 56, so that, I mean, the time bank could have been a lot better for the Shock. The Fusion did have an initial good start to that hold on that final stretch from B to C. The Shock right now, they're looking to play forward. They have an idea, you know, Fusion, they're not gonna be running the Bastion comp. They say, you know what, we can match them at the cart with a 3-3 of our own.
Yeah, it's extremely risky to run the Bastion if you get overwhelmed when your opponent has a 2-minute time bank with completion on this map. You need to hope that you get the first ult advantage and just keep rallying behind that. Oh, no.
Taken down already, Rascal. Sitting pretty up here on the bridge. Mortality Field will be used to try to keep Super alive.
So the two things you get with this over Brigida is you get range damage. So you can poke down members like we just saw, Neptuno died. But also you can allow the Shock to basically spawn camp. Sinatra very famous for this days back in Selfless. But you can at range, whereas Brigida cannot, do tons of burst healing. As you can see here, Rascal is just lobbing the heal grenades in, and he's unopposed, whereas Brigida has to be doing damage to heal, and the output is not the same.
Pushing their way back out. Already a lot of damage being forced onto Sato, keeping him down below half HP. And Matrix will be used. EQ will gonna disappear. Super still playing on the other side. He doesn't care about those empowered fire strikes. He just wants to be up in the face of the Philadelphia Fusion. That's where he's most comfortable. That's where he's finding success.
We're seeing a little bit more of the flair of Shock here as well with Rascal on this Batiste. We've seen it so many times since Batiste released here in Stage 2. And this is one way you can really abuse him on Junkertown's spawn camp. We've got the grab here. They know Boombox just trance, so Sinatra was hoping they'd walk out and he could grab them all. He still could grab up into the wall. Fusion are just... I don't know what they're doing. I'm gonna wait for a moment here to regroup.
Taking their time.
Trying to maybe get Poco in position to eat the grab, but I mean, look at all the time that's being bought here. This almost just feels like surrender.
It kind of does. And there's not really much that they can do. They're showing some unwillingness to swap off at the 3-3. Just want to be able to match them here. Feeling like this is where they're going to be able to find the most success.
I mean, they baited some cooldowns that way by poking in and out and then coming out, but they're all split up now.
I mean, this is the most that the cart has moved up so far in this map. In this half, Sinatra going low, Immortality Field, using trying to keep him alive. Oh, big whip there from Sinatra. Sato does dive on top of it though, and he's gonna be picked off. Rascal managed to find the kill. He just didn't have the ults ready to try to keep the Ryan alive. Bombs up over the top, looking for the kills. Joyhobin gonna be popped out of the back, but everybody else gonna be safe. The beat is there from Moth, and Joyhobin, he answers back with his own self-destruct, manages to find EQO. Another Immortality Field, Super pushing his weight bit, drops the hammer, manages to find Boombox.
Super, did you see him charge? He just charged in with like less than 10 health because he trusted his supports. It's not enough.
Well, now Moth's gonna be taken down. Super does manage to spare their blood just a little bit by killing off Sato, but now the grab's gonna be in. Sinatra rejoins, Neptuno gonna be gone.
Shock are playing this on hard mode.
Moving up a little bit further. It really does feel like they are. Sinatra just showing no fear, no restraint.
This is ridiculous.
The fire strike, he picks up Carpe in the back line.
This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Unreal.
Ant Matrix is out.
They re-stabilize. After losing members, after having that longer run back, they managed to stabilize, and they are still spawn camping the Fusion.
Fusion are the defending finalists of the 2018 season. They are an 8-5 team, but I don't know if anyone could disrespect them this much. Destroying them right now, taking 4v6 fights.
I mean, it's such a slaughter at the moment. That's all we can really say. Super going low, still going to be able to stay alive. Stunned up, Immortality Field is there over to keep him in the fight. Violence there, Transcendence comes through. Shatter's going to be good. Catches two, Boombox picked off with the Transcendence ready to go. And now we're at the final 20 seconds. Philadelphia Fusion need to go the distance on this map if they want to stay in playoff contention. Shock say, we want to go 24-0. We want to knock you out.
Carpe's grab. He might not get a chance to use it. Sinatra's ready. There it is.
And they were not ready. The Transcendence comes in. Boombox at least keeping the team alive. But now they got to make it back over to the cart. Boombox manages to tag in, but the rest of his team is dead at the spawn doors.
Boombox against the world. It's not going to last very long.
No, he's not. The bomb is there to finish him off with some style. The OT ticks away. Philadelphia Fusion, they're out of playoff contention, but San Francisco Shock, they maintain their record, 24 maps in a row.
4 more to go to be the only team to have a truly perfect stage in Overwatch League history. And what a way to knock Philly out of playoffs. Spawn camping, Batiste, Sinatra going back to his roots once again, stands at the door and will not let Philadelphia Fusion exit. Philadelphia Fusion gate-kept as well out of the playoffs. A tough way to lose. Their season's not over yet. They've still got a great overall record in terms of the overall playoffs towards the end of the season. And that's the one that really matters. But they're going to have to go back to the drawing board a little bit here. The San Francisco Shock shut them down.
Just utter dominance on display here from the San Francisco Shock. Let's go ahead and throw down to the floor where Mika is standing by with Super.
Give it up for Super and the San Francisco Shock, everybody. New record. This is incredible. It has never been seen before in the Overwatch League. Is this perfect map score record kind of more of a pressure thing or a motivation? Like, are you scared of it? Is it hyping you up?
I mean, we just kind of play the game, and whatever happens is whatever happens. I mean, the map score is nice, the record's nice, but, you know, it is what it is.
So such a humble brag, so casual about it. And so you're kind of known for saying some spicy things. Do you have any spice for your next matchup, Shanghai Dragons, which is on Sunday, which happens to be the match of the week? So do you want to light the flame under that?
I actually think the Dragons are probably the best team that we're going to face this stage out of anyone else we faced so far. So I think it'll actually be a pretty good match.
All right, well, you heard it first. Super said it's going to be a good match, so make sure you tune in on Sunday. Thank you, Super, for joining us down here. Back to you, Wolf and Achilles.
Thank you very much, Mika. Always good to hear from Super. Keeping it humble overall, but you can see it right there. The Fusion joining the ranks of those teams at the bottom of the standings, eliminated from playoffs alongside Valiant, Charge, Justice, Outlaws, and Mayhem.
You're looking at really the teams that could take those final 2 spots, Spark, Dynasty, Dragons, and Hunters. I mean, those are the ones that are really in the running. So, I mean, that match against the Dragons that Shock's got actually could affect a lot.
Yeah, and we've got 3 teams that could be the first Chinese representative as an organization in the playoffs ever in the history of Overwatch League. So really exciting stuff. We'll see who can really net their way in. But, I mean, man, just what dominance here from the San Francisco Shock. You have to question, will the Dragons be able to shut them down to stop that streak and make their way into the playoffs themselves?
It's going to be tough. It is possible. Anything is possible. But if you ask me right now, I don't think anyone's stopping the Shock until they hit those top 3 teams in the playoffs.
All right. Well, I mean, just crazy stuff here. So I expect that the Dragons are going to be really writing down some notes to try to get prepped for that one. But player of the match, I mean, going in, you know, coming out of this, who do you really even pick?
I mean,
San Francisco Shock, it's just been brutal.
I think the answer is obvious here. The player of the match by Omen by HP is Sinatra. From start to finish, he made the big plays. And a lot of them were set up by Super, to be fair. But I think that Sinatra just showcased his dominance in the Zarya versus Zarya, you know, that we don't see all too often against a player like Carpe. Again, not known for his Zarya, but still, he was almost tripling him in terms of ult charge builds on King's Row. We saw so many good Graviton surges. We saw fights turned, you know, 4v6, 5v6 with his Graviton surges. 107 eliminations to 8 deaths. 10 times, more than 10 times the elims that he died. Very dominant series. A lot of it comes down to him. He got the spawn camp at the end. I mean, he deserves all the glory.
He really does. I mean, this is one of the few big hype players coming into this season that really did pay off. A lot of people were saying Sinatra's the best Zarya in the world. He's the best Zarya, at least in the Overwatch League at the moment. There are some doubters, but he really has been proving it as of late. But guys, we still have one more series for you here today. Make sure you stay tuned because Guangzhou Charge is going up against the Houston Outlaws as they look to bounce back after their loss in Dallas. We'll see if they can pull it off when we come back from the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota, official North American partner of the Overwatch League. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey, man, what's up?
You need anything for today?
Nah, man, I think I'm set.
Big day today, man?
Yeah, huge. Let's play some Overwatch.